Sports Talk. Let's go. Good morning, everyone. How you guys doing? It's me, your boy Ryan Flowers, aka Clutch Sports Talk, and welcome to another edition of NFL Sunday Wake Up. I'm your host, as usual. We are rolling into Week 11 in the National Football League as we are approaching Thanksgiving and the rest of the holiday season. It means there's lots of football to discuss, and as usual on today's show, we got tons to talk about. I got to talk about the Chicago Bears and their struggling, their recent struggles here in the last couple of weeks here in the season. What does that look like for them? What does it look like for Matt Eberflus, Caleb Williams, and the rest of the team? How will they finish out the rest of the season? We'll talk about that today. Also, Jerry Jones, all over the news this past week with the way they lost last week to the Eagles, but it's not the loss so much. It's the stadium. That damn sunlight coming through the west end of the stadium, and Jerry Jones refuses to do something about it when he does have the resources to do something about it. And I'll talk about that and his stupid comments about that. And it actually just puts into perspective why the Cowboys suck. We'll talk about that for sure. Then we'll get into my Week 11 power rankings, followed up by my Week 11 preview and predictions of all of the games for the rest of the week, and then close out the show with my clutch picks of the week. So sit back, relax, strap in. You guys are in the right place. This is NFL Sunday Wake Up with me, Ryan Flowers. Let's go get it. All right, welcome back in. Appreciate you guys for stopping by. If this is your first time watching, we really appreciate it. Make sure if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel down below, Clutch Sports Talk Podcast on YouTube. Looking to get to that 500 mark, but I need each and every one of you guys to like and subscribe. So appreciate you guys. And if you guys are in the comments, let me know what's up, man. You got some questions, you want to talk about some things that's not already on the slate for the episode, by all means, drop something in the comment, and we'll talk about it. We'll discuss it. Okay. All right. Let's see. Bears. Let's talk about the Chicago Bears. Rapid decline. And to me, that's an understatement. At one point, I did a segment on the show where I forgot what it was, this show or whatever, my NFL Sunday Matchups episode video, where there was a chance that if all four teams in the NFC North could potentially make the playoffs. And at that time, Chicago Bears were 4-2. And since then, they are 4-5. They've dropped their last three to, I believe, Arizona, Washington, and then last week to the New England Patriots. And during that time, they have failed to score touchdowns in consecutive games. They've only managed to score 27 points in those last three games, which is crazy to me, because prior to this losing streak, they were moving the ball before the bye week. I believe when they were playing, Jacksonville in London, they were moving the ball. Everybody was like, okay, Caleb Williams, all right, man, he may be able to bounce back and be that Rookie of the Year candidate that we all were expecting. But since then, it has not looked good. It's been a tumultuous first rookie season for the former Heisman #1 overall pick here with Caleb Williams. It just goes to show, man, that like, you don't know what you're really going to get. Now, I will say this. Is Caleb Williams talented? Yes, I think he is talented. You just don't win the Heisman in college and you're not talented. You got to have some type of talent within you. But it just goes back to what team you go to. And so far, the Chicago Bears have mismanaged the quarterback position year after year after year after year. For the rest of their lives, the Bears fans, the organization will have to kind of realize that they took Mitch Trubisky over Patrick Mahomes, right? And they may have to do this again, right? If Jaden Daniels pans out to be what we think he might be right now, he's easily the Rookie of the Year front runner right now. What if he turns out a phenomenal career and Caleb Williams continues to struggle? That'll be another blemish on the Chicago Bears organization and their fan base too. Well, so they just have not been able to figure out the quarterback position and even the coaching. A lot of news this past week. They fired their offensive coordinator Shane Waldron, who hadn't really been in the office or in the position that long, I believe, but like maybe a year and a half, something like that. Now Thomas Brown has been elevated. I believe he was the quarterback's coach. Now he'll be calling the plays from the sideline for the Chicago Bears. Now, what does that mean for them? From what I understand, Thomas Brown is a what you call it, a part of the Sean McVay family tree. And when I say that is that, well, there's going to be a lot of motioning. There's going to be a lot of quick routes, and they're going to try to run the football, which I think you should probably want to do that anyway, right? Most teams need to be able to run the football if you want to be successful. I'm not saying you got to run 40, 50 times a game, but you might want to keep the offense, or excuse me, the defenses a little bit on their toes. So Thomas Brown, I believe, is going to try to bring that in, because here's the brass tacks of it all. They have to. Matt Eberflus is definitely on the hot coach's seat. And if things don't pan out the next couple of weeks, he will be gone. I think he's gone anyway at the end of the year. So he's just coaching for his life right now to stay in Chicago until the end of the season, because there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to get axed that first Monday after the regular season is concluded, or whatever the case, or after the season, whatever it is, he's going to be done. He's going to be done. Along with his staff, unless somehow, some way, they can turn this around, this 4-5 record, into a winning record, and maybe get the hopes up of the Chicago faithful there in the Windy City. Now, looking at their schedule here, my notes here, I believe they have a couple, obviously it starts today with the Packers. Then they got matches against the Seahawks, and then about 6 other NFC North games. So not the right division to be in if you are struggling, because you're going to have to play the Packers again. You're going to have to play Detroit. And then you have to play Minnesota, who maybe you could probably get them, right, because they haven't really been clicking on all cylinders, but still formidable teams. And let's just look at the quarterback play. I mean, listen, there's no secret that Caleb Williams has not bought into this system, right? I don't think he trusts his offensive line. I think when you watch him play, it's very erratic. He thinks it's still USC, where he can roll out and just go make a play, which you can do that from time to time, but this is the National Football League. You can't just do that every play. He's not getting the protection that he needs to be successful in the pocket. And on top of that, even when he does, I think in his mind, his inner clock is moving too fast, and he definitely is not playing at a rate where the game is slowed down for him. And we're going into week 11. I get it, but right now he is not playing good at all. And there's a lot of people that thought he wasn't going to be good. I was kind of on the fence. I didn't. For me personally, I didn't like his mental state. I thought he's a little fragile. Physically, he's gifted. He can throw. He can run. But this is the National Football League. You're not playing San Jose State or Stanford. You're playing men every week. Guys that are getting paid to do this job. And put food on their table. So it's a little different now, obviously, and he's going to have to figure out a way, and this management is going to have to find a way to protect him moving down the stretch. And here's another thing, and I didn't understand this. This is such a young quarterback room where you have a guy like this, and you don't even bring in a veteran quarterback to show him the ropes. The veteran guy in that room is Tyler Bagent, who came from a D2 school, Holy Cross last year, played a couple games, looked solid, but he is the leader. He's the veteran in that quarterback room. Like, come on, man. Like, to me, that's just the setup from the jump. Like, regardless if that veteran was going to play, you got to bring a guy like some type of guy like a Joe Flacco, somebody to come in and groom this young man, because right now he doesn't know how to play in the NFL. People are, oh, it's football. Yes. But there's a certain decorum you have to go about things, right? To being a professional athlete is not just about the play on the field. It's how you carry yourself. Are you watching film? Are you watching film correctly? Are you showing up to the facility before everybody? Are you leaving the facility after? And I don't know if he's doing all that. He may or may not be. I don't know. I'm not in Chicago, right? But you got guys out there that are just on the roster because they can teach the young guys this type of stuff. And no offense to Tyler Bagent, whatever his damn name is. Like, I get it, but he's not a veteran. He's still learning how to play, right? So, I think that's very detrimental to this team. Overall, it doesn't look good for them. It really doesn't. They were riding high. I think we all kind of bought in a little bit when they were 4-2. We're like, okay, maybe they are figuring it out. But realistically, there's a disconnect all across the board, from the wide receivers to the offensive line to the coaching, and definitely the Bears are not looking good, and the outlook for them is not positive. So I think they'll continue to struggle. I think they'll lose today against the Packers, and they'll be 4-6, and maybe Eberflus gets fired today or maybe next week. But they had to let Shane Waldron go because they needed someone to sacrifice, and he was the easiest one for now. So they bought themselves a little bit more time. So we'll have to wait and see with them. But let's see what we got here in the comments section. We got my boy carving it up with Bryson Carver. He says Chicago needs to go all in and getting Ben Johnson this offseason. He would be a godsend. Oh, absolutely. I agree with that. I Ben Johnson, what he's been able to do with Detroit, that offense, I think one of the highest scoring offense in the league right now with a young quarterback. I think they would be good with him. He knows the division, obviously. Matt Eberflus, probably a better defensive coordinator, right? Like, again, I am not one of these guys. I'm not a fan favorite of defensive coordinators getting head coaching jobs, because typically when they get these jobs, these are teams that are picking high in the draft, and they probably have a young quarterback. And time in and time out, these defensive coordinators cannot mature and cultivate young quarterbacks. Right now, DeMeco Ryans is the only outlier. And let me know in the comments if there's another team. Off the top of my head, I can't think. But they're even struggling right now, right? And I get it. There's probably a lot to do with injuries and things of that nature. But CJ Stroud has definitely regressed this year, right? There's no doubt about it. So I still like DeMeco Ryans. I still like the Texans, but it usually never pans out. You need to go get an offensive guy, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think Ben Johnson would be a godsend for the Detroit Lions. For the Chicago Bears. So, all right, moving right along. It's getting to the point now with me with the Cowboys. I love talking about them. Like they're not even winning, but I love talking about how negative and toxic this club is, right? Oh, well, real quick, one point here. Bryson says, I'm okay with defensive head coach as long as they are a creative offensive. Yeah, listen, Mike Tomlin, but Mike Tomlin is different. Like, I think I don't have the stats in front of me, but I'll say this. Most of these guys don't pan out. They don't. They really don't. And we'll see how long DeMeco Ryans will pan out here too. Mike Tomlin's been there a long, long time. So I don't even count him. Right, because he just knows what he's doing. I don't know, but anyway, but good point though. All right, Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones, like Cowboys fans, listen to me, guys. Listen, because I was one of you guys. I'm on fan pages. I'm on social media. I see people's comments about why the Cowboys aren't good. Listen, folks, it has nothing to do with the play on the field. Well, it does to a certain extent. But before it gets there, before the players are selected, before they even strap up, put the pads on, it starts with Jerry Jones. He is the problem. It doesn't matter who you draft, what coach you bring in, what offensive, defensive scheme you want to implement. It does not matter. The owner is the problem. The Jones family is the problem. Case in point, last week, they got blown out again at home, 34-6. Now, I'm not saying that this is the exact reason why they lost, but I'm telling you the state why. Hold on. When I get to what I'm going to say, you'll understand why, maybe even more so. So you lose to Philadelphia, 34-6. After the game, or actually during the game, there was a play where CeeDee Lamb was wide open in a touchdown. Cooper Rush throws it, and CeeDee Lamb can't see the ball. Why? Because he's looking towards the west end zone. And those of you who've been a Cowboys fan and watched Cowboys games, you know that this time of year, when you're looking through that west end zone, that huge opening or the glass opening, the sunlight is coming through. Now, for picture's sake, it looks phenomenal, right? It looks great. But when you're playing, functionally football, it's a hindrance. CeeDee Lamb, after the game, complains about it, hoping that it'll get back to his boss, which we know it will because the media is going to relay that to him. And this fool basically says, you want to just tear down the building? No, you idiot. Put up something. Put up a curtain. It's not that damn hard. Like, really. And he wants to say, it's an advantage. How? How is it an advantage for us? Or for the Cowboys? How is it? Because to me, an advantage is supposed to help you, not hinder you, right? And I guess you can look at it two ways because the Eagles at some point have to manage that, but they were able to do so because they put up 34-6, right? They still have the better talent. They have the better coaching staff. They're just better overall. But this is just another clear insight to how effed up this team is and will be in the foreseeable future, right? You're looking around the league. You're looking at other play teams signing guys. Like case in point, and I don't know the finances like that. I guess maybe, but I'm gonna speak on it. And maybe you guys call me on in the comment section. Keep me honest. The 49ers just re-signed one of their better defensive backs, Diamondora Lenore, I believe his name is, right? Forgot what the money was off the top of my head. But that's another guy they have to re-sign. They just re-signed Debo, right? Brandon Ayuk, right? And you mean to tell me all these other teams figure out the cap. They figure out their finances. And then Jerry Jones can't even afford Derrick Henry for $8 million, right? Like it's not the players all the time. Like there are some dumb players on this squad. Michael Parsons, case in point, who I can't stand. And he's part of the reason why I don't like the Cowboys too. But Jerry Jones is the problem, right? And back to this whole sunlight thing. Their curtains, obviously, we saw that Friday night when the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson farce took place in Jerry's world. They have curtains up. How does the sunlight how is it an advantage, Jerry? It's not. It's not an advantage. He because he's wrong and people are calling him out for it, he gets defensive. And when you're defensive like that, the meaning you're not willing to be subjected to change, and therefore you will never grow. So Cowboys fans, continue buying the merchandise, continue going to the games and buying food and carrying on, right? Thinking that this team will somehow just get better and return to their glory days. When the reality is they're not. It's a sinking ship. It's a Titanic. It's been like that the last 30 years. And you know who's been in charge of all that? Jerry Jones. He's been able to wheel and deal and fool you into believing that they will be something that they will never be ever again. And that's championship caliber. Never in my lifetime will I ever consider the Dallas Cowboys winning another Super Bowl. And that's the plain fact, unless drastic changes. And I the segment's about the sunlight, but it's really more than just the sunlight. It's the ability to cover up your wrongs and not admit that, you know what, man, we probably should cover up that West End or do something. You're a billionaire. You can do something to mask that. Now, back in the day when I used to work at Texas Stadium, there was an advantage, right? The Cowboys would be on the It would be on their home side, I believe, was on the south end, not the south end. I forgot on the, I don't know, because that stadium I believe was situated a little differently. But then again, the sun didn't glare. However, though, there was a cutout roof on the top. But the advantage was that during some home games, the opposing team would be directly in the sun, where the Cowboys would be in the shade. Right? That's the reason why the Cowboys wear white jerseys. Right? For those who don't know this, that's the reason why the Cowboys wear white jerseys, because they want to make sure that the darker the color absorbs more heat. We're going to sit you on the sideline, particularly where the sun is going to shine down on you the whole time, right? That's an advantage, right? Because guess what? The sun it doesn't bother them. But with this stupid stadium now, the way they built it, okay, fine. You want to build it east to west? Cool, whatever. But come on, like, what are we doing here? So, Jerry Jones is just a walking contradiction. And that's why I jumped off this season. I mean, if I'm going on my rant here, but that's why I'm done with them. I just cannot be, because of stupid things like this. Every other team can figure it out, but the Cowboys can't, right? But why? Because Jerry Jones is in control. It doesn't matter what coaching. And I've seen people, we were talking about Ben Johnson earlier. I've seen people on social media, oh, Ben Johnson would be a great fit. He would be if we had a different ownership. But because Jerry Jones is not looking for a guy like Ben Johnson, he's looking for a coach that's desperate, maybe wants to get back in the league somehow and doesn't care. He just wants to be walking the sidelines. And that's what they'll end up getting, because Mike McCarthy will be gone. But overall, again, it's not about the sunlight in this particular segment. It's just a clear indication that Jerry Jones has lost it altogether. He's grumpy. He's senile. And that's not a combination for good. Maybe there might be some hope with Steven, when Jerry Jones decides to move on in the afterlife. I'm not wishing anything bad on him, but I'm just saying maybe there might be a chance. But as of right now, the Cowboys are not a good football team. it's not looking good for them. And just think about it. Great point, Bryson. He says he's not a serious football executive and hasn't been for 30. No, you're right. He's all about his money. Like, I used to think, oh, maybe, we'll figure it out, right? Nah, man, he's just about his money. And that's it. And that's why I cannot continue to support that. I work hard for my money. I'm not giving them a cent of my money because guess what? The play on the field it's not been good. So, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Bryson follows up and says, and Steven might actually be worse. Yeah. He's cheap. Steven Jones is cheap too. Again, you got the Niners, Eagles, they're all signing players. But we can't sign Derrick Henry. We can't go out and get guys in free agency. I'm not saying you got to go out and get a whole trough of these guys, but realistically, come on. And you see these teams are winning. They're bringing back Zeke Elliott. Oh, wow. Get the fuck out of here. Like, so, excuse me, but I'm just like, it doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense to me. And you got idiots also. Oh, Zeke still got a lot left. Where? Show me. Oh, he's not getting enough touches. Man, get out of here with that, dude. Get out. Oh, he led the Patriots. Dude, the Patriots were a crappy team too, with no talent on their roster. He's probably one of their better players last year. So miss me with all that, man. Like, doesn't make any sense. So as you can tell, I get really upset because it's annoying. It's annoying because some people are just stupid. It's like, it's like, I don't know. Either way, man, I don't even put myself in another, I just get worked up over it because I'm just fed up with it. But either way, put a damn tarp, curtain, something over the West End. I'm not going to say you're going to win games, but it would probably help you score a couple touchdowns where guys can actually see the damn ball, Jerry. It's simple as that. So, all right. Moving right along, man. Let's get into some power rankings for week 11. I got the Lions still at number 1, 8-1 on a 7-game winning streak right now. Jared Goff, rough outing last time. They did get the win, though, but 5 interceptions. 5 interceptions against the Texans, and they needed Jake Bates to win that game. But, hey, sometimes when you're good, you need a little bit of luck, and they got it last week, so shout out to them. Kansas City coming at number 2. Listen, their time is coming. Maybe it comes this week against the Bills, but they're still 9-0, and the football gods have just really shined on them this whole season, especially last week. I mean, they were dead to rights. Broncos should have won that game, but they ended up getting the blocked field goal to win that game at home and remain 9-0. But again, they got a big matchup today against Buffalo up in Orchard Park. So number 3, I got the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, Lamar Jackson is leading this team again, probably the front runner for the MVP this season. Defense, though, is a little inconsistent than most years, especially that secondary. They're not an elite defense anymore, I will say. Got to be middle of the road, bend but don't break. But they can be had. So that's a little concerning for me. But still, the offense, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, surprised Deontay Johnson has not really been utilized a lot in this offense yet. I don't know why they traded for him. The guy literally, I believe, he's only got like 4 targets since being traded there. I'm not sure if that was like an insurance just in case somebody got hurt. Who knows? But definitely, maybe they figured out what to do with him and they get it going. I got the Buffalo Bills at number 4. They're one of those teams where it's like they're gonna go as far as Josh Allen goes, and now Josh Allen is one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League, so I'm not gonna go against him. This is a very mature team, but defensively they're a little inconsistent in stopping the run, and that's gonna be a problem, especially when you play teams like Baltimore, right? Which they're gonna have to do, and even Kansas City. Kansas City can run the football. Like, we don't look at them as a running football team, but they can, especially Isaiah Pacheco is going to be coming back. Kareem Hunt has been a nice, pleasant surprise for them, picking him up off the free agency wire. You're going to have those 2 guys back there. So, the Bills definitely have some issues stopping the run. But they're going to have to play clean a lot of these games. Josh Allen cannot have a lot of turnovers. But still one of the better teams in the National Football League, just from a quarterback perspective. So I got them at number 5. Philadelphia Eagles rising 7-2. They are in sole possession of the NFC East. They are the second seeded team in the NFC behind the Lions. So they're going to try to keep pace with them. And I believe they have a matchup with each other later on in the season. So that's going to be fun to watch. I mean, it could be a preview of the NFC Conference Championship game. So Jalen Hurts getting better for sure. Saquon Barkley is really the standout here for this team. Like, what a signing that was. They went out and paid him. Yeah, that's how it works, Jerry. You go out and get players. And the Eagles have done that, and he's definitely helped them out in a couple of games, despite some of the coaching inconsistencies. I will say this, they have kind of turned it around a little bit, letting Kellen Moore run the show a little bit more. And you can see that on the field. So they're rising, right? I think they can beat the other three. I think they can beat the four other teams that are above them right now. They're playing really good, and defensively too, they're looking a little bit more consistent as well. Coming in at number 6, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're winning even despite poor offensive outputs, not consistently enough that I want to see from them. Now, Russell Wilson is still undefeated as a starting quarterback. I think he's still getting used to the plays. Adding Mike Williams in the trade deadline was big for them. He helped win that game last week against the Washington Commanders. George Pickens is still continuing to pick it up. The defense is really strong, really clutch, and that's going to help them. But they got a big matchup today. We'll talk about that against the Baltimore Ravens, but I got them at number 6. I got the Washington Commanders coming in at number 7. Heartbreak loss last week to the Steelers at home. A game I thought they probably should have won, but they ended up, kind of trickling it out, and then they lose this past Thursday. So back-to-back losses for them. Obviously, that this past loss, and in fact, they're into my week power rankings, but he will next week, obviously. But I got to keep it real time. So, are they a playoff team? Yes. I think now, though, looking at them a little bit more, they're not one of the better teams in the National Football League, right? So definitely a wild card team, especially if things continue to play out there, but a good football team. Jaden Daniels, he's struggling a little bit with his accuracy when he's mobile, but he can probably clean that up. So I'm not worried about that. I still think he's the offensive rookie of the year, no doubt in my mind. But, maybe they're not as strong of as a contender, maybe as some of us thought they were. I was a little bit on the fence with them, but now seeing them now playing some of these top tier teams, they're just not quite ready yet. But, a lot of games to be played, so we'll have to wait and see. And then I got the Minnesota Vikings coming in at number 8. They're struggling. In particular, Sam Darnold. If you watch my video NFL matchups that dropped this past Tuesday, Sam Darnold is his play is concerning. His overall performance, it's crazy. The first 5 weeks, great. And then ever since then, it's just kind of been on a decline. So that's something they're going to have to kind of keep an eye on. Defense can only do so much at some point. He's going to have to start playing a lot better in order for them to make a real run. Because originally I thought they were looking really serious, man. I was like, damn, Minnesota Vikings are doing something. But now Sam Darnold is starting to kind of it's kind of like he's Cinderella. Like the clock has hit midnight and he's resorted back to just being regular. So I don't know with him, but still a good team. And then got the Packers at number 9. Kind of like the Vikings. I mean, quarterback play inconsistent. Jordan Love does have the tools, but he's got to have to play better. And I'm not quite sure that the trade they got rid of Preston Smith. That's going to have some type of impact on their defense, unless they know they got some other guys in the building that can get the job done. I'm not quite sure. But Jordan Love, the interceptions and the penalties late in games is going to have to clean it up. Right, they got the talent to beat a lot of teams, but they're going to have to clean up a lot of the mistakes. So that's why I have them there. And then finally, the LA Chargers, man, have cracked the top 10 here. Listen, I mean, you should beat the Titans, right? You should beat these other teams they should be beating. But you know what? I'll give them credit, man. The defense is getting after it. I really like Justin Herbert. He's been playing really well, very composed, very creative out of the pocket. I still thought they might have tried to go get some type of number 1 wide receiver in the trade deadline. They didn't do that. I guess they like who they like there, but definitely I would have thought that. But overall, I mean, they're running well. Defense is looking good, and Jim Harbaugh has those boys playing some incredible football right now, looking to keep winning. Probably not going to win the AFC West, but at least get a playoff bid in the wild card. Okay. Let's take a look at my preview and predictions of Week 11. Obviously, Washington Commanders lost to Philadelphia on Thursday night. So let's take a look at the Packers and Bears. Real simple. We talked about the Bears struggle early on the show. It's going to continue. Maybe they might be a little bit more creative here on offense with the new coordinator there and Thomas Brown. But the Packers should win this game going away. I believe so. I'm going to take the Packers here. Jacksonville and Detroit. Um, Detroit looking like a juggernaut still in a sense, like they can't be beat even when they play bad or the quarterback is throwing the ball away 5 times, still get the win. Jacksonville, not a good football team. I like the Lions here. Speaking of not good football teams, the Las Vegas Raiders travel to Miami to take on the Dolphins. The Raiders, to me, they're like the Cowboys too. They just can't get out of the way of themselves, especially the ownership there. Mark Davis has no idea what he's doing. The hiring of Antonio Pierce was laughable to me. Not addressing the quarterback situation, thinking Gardner Minshew was going to be the answer. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. Not going to work out. Miami should win this game at home. And I feel bad because I like players like Max Crosby on the Raiders. Really cool. Seems like an outstanding kind of guy in the community. You know, I see him a couple of times here. They practice not too far from me. So I do see him, run into him at the gas stations here sometimes. But really cool guy, but he needs to get out of there. But I like the Dolphins in this one. LA Rams taking on the New England Patriots. Patriots coming off a good win last week against the Bears. Drake May outplayed Caleb Williams. The future is it? Well, I say it's bright in New England. I won't say it's bright, but I think they got something to work with if they can protect him and maybe draft a receiver, some more weapons out there. Maybe they got a chance. But today, I think the Rams they're feeling it. They're feeling it. I think they really need to come in and win this game if they want to keep pace in the NFC West. So I like the Rams in this one. Cleveland Browns taking on the New Orleans Saints. Jameis Winston comes back to his former team, which kind of ended weird, right? I believe last year there was a game where he was the quarterback. The game was over. They should just kneeled on it. He ended up changing the play, and they scored a touchdown in there. I forgot what team they were playing against, but the opposing coach was not happy with Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen was like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, I did not know that he was going to do that. And so, Jameis Winston's caught some flack for that because that's kind of what Jameis Winston does. He's kind of like he's like the town fool. But Saints coming off a really good win last week, a game that I didn't pick them to win, but I did say, though, there would be juice. I went against my own conventional wisdom. When you have an interim coach, that first game, the players are going to be up for that, and they were. They played the Falcons really well, got the win. But this week, I think they're going to come back down. I think the Browns are just going to be a little bit better than them, so I'm going to take the Browns to win that game on the road with Jameis Winston. All right, big matchup here. Baltimore Ravens taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers, NFC North division rivals. Both teams looking to plant their flag here in the AFC North. Steelers, man, they have owned the Ravens the last couple of years. I don't have the stat in front of me, but from what I remember reading a while ago, out of like the last 6 or 7 games, they've won like 5 or 6 games. The Steelers they've got their number. So they're at home. The defense knows they know this team very well, right? Both the coaches know each other. At least they've been coaching each other at least since I can remember, back since like 2008, something like that. So very familiar with each other. I still like the Steelers at home to get the win, even though it's going to be a close one for sure. All right, Minnesota taking on Tennessee. This is kind of a weird one. Tennessee is like one of those weird places where they're not a really good football team, kind of like Jacksonville, though, but they will get a game at home where things will go right for them. However, though, I think the Vikings, despite Sam Darnold continuing to make mistakes, I think they get past Tennessee this week. Indianapolis Colts taking on the Jets. Anthony Richardson is back as a starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, which I don't know. Joe Flacco really disappointed me. He had not played really well the last 2 weeks after they benched Anthony Richardson. But they get to take on the Jets, who aren't really good as well. Defense is a shell of themselves. Aaron Rodgers he's done. They're cooked. But I think the Jets still win this game. Just because Anthony Richardson is not better than Aaron Rodgers at this point. And Aaron Rodgers is not that good either. But Anthony Richardson, to me, is not a great quarterback. I've jumped off his bandwagon. I thought he was going to be able to do something with Shane Steichen, but apparently he just can't. So, but I like the Jets in this game. Atlanta Falcons heading to Mile High to take on the Denver Broncos. Broncos coming off of a close loss. Let's see how they bounce back against the Falcons. I think the defense will be too much for Atlanta. That high elevation Denver Broncos defense is really, really good. I think they'll be able to get Kirk Cousins, at least force him into some situations. So I like Denver in this particular. And Bo Nix is not playing really bad either. He's actually playing pretty good. Pretty good. So I like the Broncos. All right, NFC West battle here at Seattle Seahawks taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Listen, like this division is still close. I think if anyone's on the outside looking at it, Seattle, they don't play the 49ers very well in San Francisco or wherever they play, Santa Clarita, whatever the hell they play at, wherever Levi Stadium's at. But I like the San Francisco 49ers. Christian McCaffrey makes his home return after being on IR for the beginning of the season, comes back home in front of the 49er faithful. I think they get the win over Seattle. And Seattle will kind of continue to slide there in the NFC West. Probably the biggest matchup of the day outside of the Ravens and Steelers game is the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. Kansas City has not played well really offensively all year. A little inconsistent. Some games where you're like, okay, Patrick Mahomes really looking good. Kelsey kind of coming on. They still don't have like that number one wide receiver threat. I still think they're relying on DeAndre Hopkins to kind of get back into form. It's a good pickup, but I'm not sure if he's going to be the guy. However, those defense is really good, led by Chris Jones, guys like that. They own Buffalo like the last couple of times. Now they've played each other really close, that's for sure. They know each other. I'm not going against Kansas City until they lose. I'm not going against them. So a lot of bettors are going to say, well, this is probably the day. So I'm taking the Buffalo Bills. Not me. I'm not going against them. So I'm going to take the Chiefs in a close one. And as for Sunday Night Football, Cincinnati Bengals on the road in LA taking on the LA Chargers. Just talked about them. They just cracked the top 10 of my power rankings. Bengals, man, like offensively, they're doing all they can. Their defense is just not really good, man, unfortunately. Too many key losses over the last couple seasons in free agency, injuries, things of that nature, but their offense is phenomenal. Will they be able to get after it today? I don't think so. I think the Chargers defense is going to kind of rise up there a little bit, and their offense too. So I like the Chargers. I think it'll be a closer game, but I like the Chargers. And then to close out the week, we got the scrimmage between the Houston Texans and the Dallas Cowboys. Battle of Texas. On paper, beginning of the year, this looked like a very, very juicy matchup. Now it's just like, can we just get this over with? The Cowboys, no Dak Prescott, no really star power like that. CJ Stroud, they're struggling too a little bit, but they're the better roster. They are better coached. I like the Texans in this one to win this game outright and defeat the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. Just past 30 minutes here, 7 minutes past. So before we get out of here are my clutch picks of the week. We started off 1-0 with the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm looking for the Steelers and Browns and Broncos to round out my clutch picks of the week for week 11. We'll see how they do. So, all right, there you have it, then. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you guys for stopping through, watching the episode. Make sure, again, if you haven't already, subscribed to my YouTube channel as well as the Grid Network channel. So be on the lookout for my video NFL matchups dropping on Tuesday evening, like around 7 o'clock. Like 6 or 7 Pacific Standard Time, so 9, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But definitely watch out and head over to the Grid Network to catch all NFL matchup related stuff for Clutch Sports Talk, me, right? So other than that, man, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Until next time, this is your boy Ryan Flowers, aka Clutch Sports Talk. NFL Sunday, wake up. Like I always say, never settle till the work is done. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.